Welcome, everyone. Today, we're diving into a really fascinating psychological quirk that, honestly, messes with all of us, whether we know it or not. It's called the Dunning-Kruger Effect.
Oh, yeah, Dunning-Kruger? I'm already on top of this one. I've read a few articles, so I'm basically an expert in this psychology stuff. I'm excited to see what you've got.
Well, that's actually the perfect setup for this entire explainer, because this all starts with a very, very strange question.
So let me ask you, do you think it's possible for lemon juice to make you invisible? You know, to something like a security camera? Ah, what? No way. That's got to be the silliest thing I've ever heard. Is this some kind of trick question?
It's not a trick question at all. It's actually a true story. And it's the bizarre origin of the very effect we're talking about today. It's all about a guy whose confidence was sky high, even though his plan was, well, let's just say it was a little flawed. So let's go back to Pittsburgh, 1995. A man by the name of MacArthur Wheeler walks into not one, but two banks and robs them. He does this smack in the middle of the day. No mask, no disguise. He even flashes a smile at the surveillance cameras on his way out. By all accounts, this guy was overflowing with confidence. And here's the kicker. The reason he was so sure of himself, he had a secret weapon. He had carefully, meticulously covered his entire face in lemon juice.
Hold on. Hold on. Lemon juice? The stuff you put in drinks? Why on earth would he do that?
I know, right? Well, when the police caught up to him later that same day and showed him the super clear surveillance tapes of his face, he was just baffled. He couldn't believe it. He apparently just stared at the footage and mumbled, "But I wore the juice." See, he knew that lemon juice can be used as invisible ink. So, in his mind, he made this huge logical leap. If he put it on his face, he'd be invisible to the cameras. And that right there just perfectly captures the whole idea. MacArthur Wheeler wasn't dumb. The problem was he was so deeply incompetent when it came to things like chemistry or how cameras work that he didn't have the tools to even recognize his own incompetence. His ignorance wrapped him in this perfect little bubble of absolute confidence. So this crazy story caught the attention of two social psychologists, David Dunning and Justin Kruger. They studied this exact phenomenon, gave it its name, the Dunning-Kruger Effect, and they even mapped it out on a curve that starts in a place they playfully nicknamed Mount Stupid. This is where most of us start with any new skill. You learn just a tiny, tiny bit about a subject. Maybe you watch one YouTube video on how to invest or read a single article about a diet, and bam, your confidence just shoots through the roof. You feel like you've got it all figured out. You're on top of Mount Stupid, feeling like a genius, completely unaware of the huge landscape of what you don't know that's just out of view.
Okay. This is starting to sound worryingly familiar. I think I might own property on that mountain.
But then, as you keep going and start to learn more, something really humbling happens. You start to see all the complexity, the nuance, just the sheer amount of information you have no clue about. And your confidence completely craters. It plummets right into what they call the valley of despair. And this is a really dangerous spot because it's where a lot of people just give up. That gap between what they thought they knew and what they now realize they don't feels way too big to cross. But if you can push through that valley, you start the long, slow climb up what's called the slope of enlightenment. Now, this is the grind. This is where you actually put in the work, you practice, you make mistakes, and you learn from them. Your confidence starts to creep back up, but it's a totally different kind of confidence this time. It's quieter, more solid, because it's being built on a real foundation of actual skill. And then finally, you can reach the plateau of sustainability. This is where the real experts are. They have a high level of confidence, sure, but it's earned and it's backed up by deep, deep knowledge. But here's the most important part. They know there's always more to learn. They have what's called intellectual humility. They are comfortable not knowing everything. Okay, my mind is kind of blown right now. But why does this happen? Why are we so terrible at judging our own abilities when we're just starting out? Is it just that we have big egos? That is the million-dollar question. And it's not really about ego or even intelligence. The real scientific reason comes down to a lack of something called metacognition. It sounds like a complicated word, but it's a pretty simple concept. It's the ability to think about your own thinking. It's the skill of knowing what you know, and more importantly, knowing what you don't know. And here's the real paradox, the catch-22 of it all. The very skills you need to be good at something, let's say it's grammar, are the exact same skills you need to be able to recognize what good grammar looks like, in yourself and in other people. So the incompetent person doesn't just lack the skill, they lack the mental toolkit to even see that they lack the skill, just like MacArthur Wheeler didn't have the scientific knowledge to see the flaws in his own lemon juice plan.
So, this is really just a problem for us beginners, right? Once you make it to that expert plateau, you're pretty much immune to this stuff, yeah?
You would think so. But what's so fascinating is that Dunning-Kruger found a totally unexpected flip side to the effect. It turns out experts have their own special kind of cognitive bias, too.
It's like the mirror image of the problem. While the beginners are way overestimating their skills, true experts can actually slightly underestimate theirs. Or, to be more precise, they make a different kind of mistake. They assume that because something is easy for them, it must be easy for everybody else. They project their own knowledge and skills onto the rest of the world, which, by the way, is why some brilliant people are terrible teachers. They literally can't remember what it felt like to be a beginner.
And all of this brings us back to that really powerful core finding from the researchers themselves. The Dunning-Kruger effect creates this strange world where, a lot of the time, the loudest, most confident, most certain voices belong to the people who know the least. Meanwhile, the real experts are often quieter, more thoughtful, because they're the only ones who truly understand how complex things really are. So let's bring this all back to our own lives, because this isn't just some funny anecdote about a bank robber. This bias is at play all around us, every single day.
Oh, believe me, I'm starting to see it everywhere now. And that includes when I look in the mirror.
Right? I mean, think about that coworker who just won't take any feedback because they're totally convinced their way is the best way. Or, just scroll through any social media comment section. You'll see people who did 5 minutes of research on Google arguing with absolute certainty against lifelong experts.
Yeah, and that self-improvement one really stings. You pick up a guitar, learn 3 chords, and you think, yep, I pretty much got this down. You're standing right there on Mount Stupid, and you're so close to just quitting before the real, meaningful learning can even start.
Which really leaves us all with one last vital question we have to ask ourselves. The next time you feel that rush of total 100% certainty about something complicated, just take a second, pause, and ask yourself, where am I actually standing on that curve? Is this confidence coming from the plateau of sustainability built on years of actual work, or am I just admiring the view from the top of Mount Stupid?
Wow. Okay. I have a few subjects I definitely need to reconsider. Starting with my expertise in psychology, I think I see a big valley down below, and I should probably head there now.